the normal view that we see of St John the Baptist Church, Keynsham. The photographs, thank you to John McLennan for taking them for me. The tower is at the west end of the church. That means to the right-hand side is the south side, the church hall side, and to the left side is Station Road, the north side. Notice the turrets on the south side is a different shape to that on the north side, and that's because the south side turret was built in the 1300s and the north side in the 1400s, a 100-year gap between the two, and so the tower is the newest part of the main building of the church. As we near the entrance, there is a benchmark from the 19th century. We are 83.1 feet above mean sea level. The footscapers, thankfully, are not used today. Above the west door, there are 3 niches. Did they ever hold statues? The tower was completed in 1655, but during 1649-1660 was the Civil War, and images were distinctly frowned upon in many instances. The southwest corner, buttress number 1 on the right-hand side of the screen. The peculiar thing about St John's Church is that many of the buttresses are numbered. Notice the buttress on the left-hand side and one of the doorways which is blocked up. The buttress does not contain a number, just the one on the right. So there's the door on the south side, and you can see the tower, quite a different stone to the stone around the window. And notice the marks which are on the side of the south tower. The concrete putting into the stone where it was in a poor condition. If we go around to the northwest side, buttress 22, when the tower was when the church was cleaned in a renovation, thankfully they left the XXII there because of the consecration mark, which is just above it, 1596, as we can read the date. There's the same buttress on the left-hand side, and again notice the buttress on the right-hand side does not contain a number. But strangely enough, one of the buttresses on the tower does contain a number. On the left-hand side of the screen, you've got 23 on that particular buttress. And if we're looking at that buttress again, notice the darker lines coming round from the front of the church, and see the very worn stone in the tower there, where presumably when the refurbishment was done in the 1950s, they didn't feel that the stone was in such a bad condition at that moment of time. Those bands of rather poor stone which have weathered away quite badly. So we're looking at the clock, which is the subject for the day. Notice behind the round clock there is a square on its side, or a diamond-looking face. Whether there was ever that shaped face on the clock, I don't know. I don't know of a record of it. The date for the clock can be found on the clock on the inside, is put at 1729. Strangely enough, after that, 2 sundials were mounted on the church. The right-hand side is on the south side, and the left-hand one is on the west side. They were supposed to have been put up there in 1741. They have an inscription, but you've got to get very close to it, and I've never seen them. But just to show that the sundial on the south side, it still tells the time. You can just make out the figures of the hours on that particular part. Thankfully, not a lot of maintenance is needed for those. We're moving up to the top of the church now, the balustrade. Barbara Lowe, eminent historian particularly about the Abbey, she felt that the balustrades might have come from the Abbey ruins. Notice in the trefoil shape there, you've got some lines going through. Those are the safety wires which were recently added by the Friends of St. John. And a closer look at the cockerel on the top. 1655 is the date on the tail, and that was the time when the tower was completed. From ground level, it doesn't look very big, but I can assure you that when you're up close, it is really quite a large bird. So if we come into the porch now, on the right-hand side, we've got the Sanctus bell rope. Surprisingly, it was one of the bells which did survive the fall of the old tower in 1531. And in the frame there, the writing in the frame, is a copy of the brief that was issued by Charles I. Apparently, briefs in his time are relatively rare. Charles II, there were many more of them. So, a close-up of the brief, which I have highlighted various parts of it. In the top, we've got some of our supporters, and they are very much the important people in the area. Ralph Hopton of Bath, Sir Ferdinand Gorges of Bristol, he was a Bristol explorer, Francis Popham from Hunt Street, John Horner from Mells, a lot of people there involved, and John Harrington. John Harrington was the godson of Elizabeth I, Harringtons of Kelston. In the green, it describes the storm on the night of the 13th of January 1632 and what was destroyed. And then in the yellow lower down, some of the places to which this was sent. And you notice all the counties of Cornwall, Devon, Dorset, Wiltshire, Berkshire. There's Southampton, there's Salisbury, there's Wells and Exeter, a lot of places asking for money to help rebuild the tower. The books suggest that in 1640, when the accounts were ended, we had spent £903, no shillings and 9 pence. But apparently we'd only raised £426, 7 shillings and 3pence halfpenny. So what exactly happened to the shortfall, I don't know. And if we look up towards the window, towards the west window, we have this very strange carving of a bell and the date of 1728. Why it is there, I haven't had a decent explanation now.